I was at AEW Forbidden Door this weekend. I was privileged enough to get to do media for the event, and I was in the press conference after the show. And during it, Tony Khan said something, and he announced it to all of the media, saying that he had been listening to fan feedback, and based on fan feedback, he had decided to make a rule change in AEW. And that rule change was that the contracts, which get won in casino gauntlet matches, of course, every year in All In, can no longer be cashed in at any time, and instead have to be cashed in with at least a week's notice. So this is quite significant, especially for MJF, who previously was teasing cashing in at any given time. Now that is off the table. He has to announce it at least a week in advance. And like I said, Tony announced this as fans wanting it. They didn't want it to be another Money in the Bank. He didn't want to be copying another promotion's ideas. And Clark, I'm going to send this to you first, because do you think this is the right decision?
I really do, actually. We've had the Money in the Bank for years. We've even discussed every year around Money in the Bank time how the cash-ins can be formulaic. The concept of the pay-per-view itself is effective. The idea of the briefcase has gotten many people over, but not everybody that's carried it. I like doing it differently. I think this is cool. I like how he waited till the press conference, then he announced it, a week's notice. I think that's still, you could still gain the surprise of I'm cashing in, and, the match is next week. You can build it. I'm fine with the decision. And I think it's kind of cool just because it makes it more unique, right? It's not a straight ripoff of the Money in the Bank concept. Not that I felt like it was before, but it was easy to draw that line or connect those dots. And I like that he put his foot down and made a firm rule. If they change it in the future, that'll bother me.
Yeah, I do agree with you, Clark. I do think they have to make the decision and stick to it, and they have made it for the time being, so let's hope they stick to it. And I also agree that, to be honest, differentiating it from the WWE Money in the Bank briefcase is the right thing to do. It is the right idea. You don't want to be copying them. The only part I'm unsure about is if this is what the majority of fans want. Because, yeah, from a business perspective, I do think it's right. But the reasoning is that it was based on fan feedback. We did a post on this. 95% of the comments were, we actually don't like this idea.
I don't know. I understand that that's a possibility, and I didn't mean to just jump in there yet, because I know Josh wants to probably talk about this too, but I feel like also that's one of those votes where you can easily get sort of like a wave of people that are like, I'm going to make fun of it no matter what. And had it been the opposite.
That's true.
Right. So
yeah. You're not wrong there, especially when it's Tony Khan.
Yeah, I take that one with a grain of salt statistically.
Yeah, no, I completely do agree. And Roundhead says, did you raise your hand for Mercedes Moné? So fun fact, right? There's literally like 15 people in this room, right? Because obviously, media, it's hard to invite a lot of media because obviously, the tickets are free and all of that. So they can't invite too many of them. So there's 15 people in this room. And Mercedes says this, and like the tension in the room suddenly, like it almost felt like she was going to go off on the media or something. It was just crazy. And then poor Simon Miller, she just went off at him and Tony was trying to defend him. It was just brilliant. It really, really was. But Josh, do you think this rule change is brilliant?
Yeah, I will agree in the part that they got to make a decision and stick with it. And this is a big decision. The Casino Gauntlet match is one of their bigger ideas, one of the better ideas that AEW has ever had. It's a success. So this is a monumental business decision from AEW. And I do think it's the right move. One, of course, like you guys mentioned, differentiation. As a rival competitor in the pro wrestling industry, you have to differentiate yourself. It was awful, too similar to Money in the Bank, which stinks because, the Money in the Bank is one of the best things in wrestling. It creates the best moments in the history of the sport. But frankly, it was too similar. But I will say another reason why I do think this will be successful is that AEW succeeds by announcing stacked cards prior to their events, as opposed to WWE, where there'll be a promo segment at the start of Raw and then they'll announce a main event match that night. AEW will announce their cards, 2-3 days before Dynamite or before Collision. So, while AEW is still in that uphill battle trying to beat WWE in ratings every week, announcing an AEW championship match for the next week could significantly boost the hype for the match, the ratings, the build. I personally like this idea. And, as long as they stick with it, I think it's going to work out well. I think it'll make that championship match mean more than if MJF just kind of runs in and wins. Like, it's too similar to Money in the Bank. But it also allows for an actual build and an actual story to be built. So I'm with it, honestly. As long as they stick with it, I'm with it.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there as well. And the other point, which we haven't really touched upon, was the other reason he gave, that, of course, AEW is very much a sports-based product. It is very much they want to approach wrestling from more of a sports perspective. They want to make sure championships matter compared to WWE, who kind of do more focus on the entertainment side of things, which I think there is undoubtedly a massive market for. But AEW has gone in the other direction. And this decision, not being able to make a random championship match at a random time, to your point, Josh, I do think makes a lot more sense.
100%. I agree. And from the sports perspective, yeah, no doubt. It would be way more entertainment if someone just runs in and cashes in the bank, but that's what WWE does.
Yeah.
I think it definitely makes more sense toward the sports perspective, like you mentioned. And it's going to work out better. It's going to make a better build. It'll make the ratings boost for that show. I think it works out perfectly as long as they stick with it.
Yeah, that is a good point. The other point I want to quickly touch upon, Clark, is that something me and you spoke about last week, with the fact that we thought MJF was still going to be in the Hurt Syndicate and he was going to trick everybody and cash in alongside the Hurt Syndicate. Obviously, that did not happen. What are your thoughts on that?
I think the only miss, as far as, because I liked the majority of the Hurt Syndicate storyline, is like it really just didn't. It just ended. They were like, actually, we didn't have an ending. So that's kind of what I think about it. Basically, I hope it comes back around. Obviously, we got a show tonight. Maybe there's some sort of interaction between MJF and the Hurt Syndicate, but I don't know. By the way, when you said sports-based product, all I could think is like, could you imagine the Eagles wake up on Sunday morning? They're like, we're playing the Cowboys today. We're cashing in.
They choose their opponent.
Yeah, like, we're already in Dallas.
Right. It's like Super Bowl Sunday. They run into cash in. They get a Super Bowl opportunity. I mean,
it's like halftime of a 0-0 game.
Oh my gosh.
That's funny.
But yeah, I mean, I'm still hoping, to be honest, there is something with this Hurt Syndicate thing. I'm hoping that this is just something where there's a long-term vision and we just can't see it. Like, they're still going to do a twist. But the longer it goes, especially now after Forbidden Door, I'm not sure if that twist is coming. And I don't get it, because with some storylines AEW have abandoned, such as the original EVP storyline, I've understood because the feedback's been so bad. The MJF Hurt Syndicate stuff was like fine. Like, that's what I don't get.
Including myself, right? Like, we liked it. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me there, especially because I think there could have been a really good story told down the road. I guess the only fear would be maybe having to turn MJF into more of a sympathetic figure in that scenario, because how is he going to get one over on the Hurt Syndicate down the road? Like,
that's true, but why would you book the storyline in the first place? If that, like, you have to think of that, like, as soon as you're putting it together.
Yeah, you would assume. This is one of those mysteries that I don't know if it'll be solved until we get like a documentary down the road.
I think it's a mistake that AEW has made. They realized they made the mistake way too late into the process, and now they're just hoping the IWC forgets about it. But unfortunately, IWC never forgets. So. Yeah.
We don't, and to be honest, I'm really disappointed, because AEW, especially their storytelling, has been really, really good over the past 3 months. I mean, it's been maybe the best it's ever been, genuinely. It's really, really good. And now it's just, I don't know, it's just that one thing. It's just bugging me.
Not that one. Like, that's what it feels like. They're like, never mind.
It's a miss, but it's like, it's just a completely unnecessary miss too.
Yeah.
Like, there's sometimes where you're like, okay, well, stuff's happened. They're booked in a corner. Okay, it's all gone wrong, like Adam Cole and MJF. In this case, nothing even went wrong. I don't get it. Comments, help us out here. I'm completely and utterly just confused. Fernando says MJF paid off. Ricochet and Gates of Agony to attack the Hurt Syndicate for the tag team championships. An MJF Ricochet Gates of Agony faction.
I wouldn't hate that. Actually, I really don't have a problem with that at all. If
Yeah.
that's the story, then okay. Yeah. Actually, that Fernando, you're onto something here.
Yeah,
Might have a solution.
they need a talker.
That's really not a bad idea. Like I hadn't considered that.
Yeah.
That's actually great. I take back everything I said. Like I said, I said at the start of the segment, I said maybe there's a twist coming we can't see. Hopefully that's it, because that is
hopefully that's the
genius,
one.
Fernando.